Who does Jesus say that I am? Here in the words of and prayers shared with the disciples amongst the promises given of the gift of the Spirit is one of Jesus' descriptions of us. You are a fruit bearer. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you'll bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And it might be turn that word into a demand. There may well be times to do that. Following Ecclesiastes, there is a season for all things under the sun. But much more than that today, I want to rest in the promise of it. Remain in me and you will be fruit bearers. Here is a lovely orchard that's been built up over the last 10 years. It's put in here for the Commonwealth Legacy, and a bunch of school kids came and planted these trees all over here, and it was a sodden wet day. It was torrential rain from the photographs, and you just see them drenched in the mud and everything coming down. And then 10 years later we see these lovely fruit trees with the apples growing. I can show you pictures of them in the background as well here. But the reasons for being drawn to this is a promise over any sense of demand in this word of Jesus, over this word that we will be fruit bearers. The reasons for that are personal. Back in November, I went down and talked to Pitlochry as part of a retreat for ministry leaders, and in the midst of that time of reflection, there's a new word picture came to me, an image that has mattered to me. Since then, I shared with the deacons subsequently to that what that was, and we are going to share a little bit with the church over this period as well. But things change in the midst of COVID. Everything changes. Back when I started in ministry, when I started as a student minister in Motherwell, the church in Motherwell came to me and approached me to become minister full-time after the students' days ended. And I remember taking a week structured week within the college at that time of prayer and reflection, separation, and just the time you could take it at points to reflect on things. I took it to walk around the streets in Pollokshields and to try and listen to God in the midst of answering this call. And the picture that I got at that point was, in the midst of all these autumn trees around Pollokshields, the picture that came to me was let what needs to fall. And a picture of the autumn leaves falling, these sort of things. And that as a picture of ministry, I accepted the calling to Motherwell on the basis, something of the basis of that calling and that form of ministry. If I could describe myself as anything, which is dangerous to do obviously at any time, I would say I'm something of a gentle iconoclast. I don't hold to many things dearly if they're getting in the way of new life. And that picture of ministry, let the leaves fall as they fall, has been a part of what I've carried through ministry and calling over the previous 20 years. But at this retreat in November, there was a different image, a different picture that came. And I don't need to go into all the background and reasons for it coming, but it is one of blossoming. How do I blossom? This is a time I felt the call towards a blossoming of ministry, of fruitfulness. What does my blossoming look like? What does my fruitfulness look like? What does the blossoming of the people of Cathcart Baptist Church look like? What does the blossoming look like after the leaves are fallen and the winter is done? What is the fruitfulness? What is the blossoming? I don't make any claim that this is a word of the Lord. I claim it's the second of two pictures which strike very deeply to the heart of how I understand my calling. And as I read the body text again this morning, this word from John's Gospel, this second word, the new guiding picture, came to my mind again, and I find myself asking, what does blossoming look like in this post-COVID-19 world? How do we feel our way towards that? What does it look like for the church and for myself? How does fruitfulness matter into the people and the places around us? What does it mean to be a fruit bearer now, here? And this is why I am resting in the promise of Jesus' words this morning, the gift of the invitation to remain in Jesus the gift out of which this promise of fruit comes. I had many thoughts about what that fruitfulness and blossoming would be looking like, and we've begun to explore it at Deacon's Retreats in early January before all this hits, and none of that took account of where we are just now. But I'm so incredibly grateful for the gift of that word of blossoming, because it takes me the promise of Jesus' words here. Abide in me and you will be a fruit bearer. A fruit bearer, you are a fruit bearer. This is who you are. Abide in me. There's so much coming up over these next few weeks that is uncertain and unknown, where we don't know the answers, we're confused and uncertain. We don't know the land that we'll come into. But in Jesus, here is our call to live as fruit bearers, those concerned with the blossoming of God's creation. I take hold of his promise, and I take hold of his description for me and for our church, that we are to be fruit bearers.